Good morning, my fabulous grade threes. I hope you are so well and you are ready for some drama. Excellent. Today we are going to do the tongue twister, and this tongue twister is about two frogs. So one frog that loves the other frog, and let's see if the lady frog loves the male frog. But the one frog, the two-toed, they call the two-toed tree toad, loves the three-toed tree toad. That's why it's such a tricky one. Okay, this goes like this. A two-toed, let's take the glasses off, okay? So I can see properly to read from my computer, otherwise it is very tricky, okay? So, a tree-toad loved a she-toad who lived up in a tree. He was a two-toed tree toad, but a three-toed toad was she. The two-toed tree toad tried to win the three-toad's heart, for the two-toed tree toad loved the ground that the three-toed tree toad trod. But the two-tree-toad tried in vain. He couldn't please her whim, for the three-toed bower with her three-toed power. Then she vetoed him. Okay, so do you know what vetoed means? Vetoed means what she basically said, no, I don't like you, go away. And she got rid of him. Okay, so let's try two of the lines with that. Okay, a tree toad loved a she toad. So say that with me. A tree toad loved a she toad. A tree toad loved a she toad who lived up in a tree. He was a two-toed tree toad. Say that with me. He was a two-toed tree toad. But a three-toed toad was she. The two-toed tree toad tried to win the three-toed toad's heart, for the two-toed tree toad loved the ground that the three-toed tree toad trod. But the two-toed tree toad tried in vain. He couldn't please her whim, for in her tree-toed bower with her three-toed power, she vetoed him. Excellent. I hope you like that one. All right. Now, you are going to create a tongue twister for me of the beginning of your name. So if your name is Lee, then you are going to think of a tongue twister beginning with an L. So it could be Lenny loves licorice land. Okay, something like that. So for my name, Vicky, I'm going to say, victorious Vicky leapt viciously at the vet. The poor vet. Okay, victorious Vicky leapt viciously at the vet. Wah! Okay, all right. So you're going to make up your own one, and you can send it through to me, or you can just think of it, because we're going to do some acting just now. So stick with me and let's do some acting. All right. So I'm sure you all know of the Roald Dahl stories. Okay. So have any of you been to a play? Have any of you, I know you've all gone to the movies, but I hope some of you have gone to the play. I'm sure you have. And what did you see at the play? Okay. So how would you tell us about if plays are just stories brought to life by actors? They're often in theatres, aren't they? But they can equally happen in parks, in castles, in schools, in warehouses, anywhere really. So as long as there are people to tell them and people to watch them, or even sometimes just to hear them. Okay, so of course, plays are all sorts of tricks to make the story more vivid and memorable. I don't know if any of you saw Miranda when it was out in South Africa. I saw it in London, luckily, very, very lucky to go and see it in London. And then I know it came out to South Africa, but I didn't see it here because I was lucky enough to see it there. But that show is incredible if you ever get the chance. If it ever comes back, you must go and see it. All right, so now, of course, plays use all sorts of tricks, which I was saying. and they use things like, what do you think they would use in a play? What about costumes? What about props? What about lights? What about sound? What about music and sets? And that all, so they use all these to tell the parts of the story and in the play, okay? But all you need are your voice and your body. And a lot of imagination and a little bit of concentration. So today we are all going to be actors, as I know you all are brilliant grade 3s. And I'm going to tell you some stories like actors do. And for some inspiration, we're going to get help from the stories of Roald Dahl. Okay, I'm sure you've all read one of his stories. Fantastic Mr. Fox, The Enormous Crocodile, Roald Dahl's funny rhymes. I just think they are hilarious. Okay, so I wonder if any of you know about George's marvelous medicine. It's a very funny story. So George has a horrible, mean old grandma who bosses him around and scares him. And now I'm going to show you my dog, who is scratches to come in the door and then out the door and then in the door and then out the door. That is Hercules standing. He is the most frightened dog in the world, and he has got such a big name for being named after Hercules, and he is so scared. But you are such a sweet dog. Yes, all right. And he is scratching to go out. But if I let him go out, he will scratch to come back in. Silly bean. All right, so George's marvelous medicine is hilarious. Okay, so grandma is really mean, and she bosses him around and scares him. And one day, instead of her usual medicine, he takes her a new medicine made from deodorant, shampoo, paint, floor polish, engine oil, and antifreeze. I wouldn't recommend you try it. I would think it would be completely poisonous. But this is what happens when grandma swallows it. While I'm going to read through it, I think you must think, if I acted this out, what voices would I use? I might use a very squeaky voice for grandma or a very squeaky voice for George. But you might want to make a very deep voice for George or a very deep voice for Granny. It's absolutely fine. You can decide. Okay, so this is when grandma swallows it. All right. Call the fire brigade, she shouted suddenly. My stomach's on fire. It's just the medicine, Grandma, George said. It's good stuff, strong stuff. Fire in the basement, get a bucket. Man noses, do something quick. By golly, you really are on fire, George said. Of course I'm on fire, she yelled. I'll be burned to a crisp, I'll be fried to a frizzle, I'll be boiled like a beetroot. You'll be all right now, Grandma. All right, she yelled. Who's all right? There's Jackie jumpers in my tummy, there's squigglies in my belly, there's bangers in my bottom. Quite obviously, she was not very comfortable. Imagine what Grandma looks like at this moment. Sometimes we use pictures created by people called designers when putting on a play, and they might show you a picture of Granny that looks little with grey hair, and it gives you an idea of what the character is. Okay, all right. So Grandma's sitting in her chair like this. Oh. All right. So in the link, I have put an extract that you can hear. This exact chapter, so chapter 1 being read by a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful storyteller. All right, and you can listen to this entire book on an app called Audible. They are doing at the moment with the COVID-19 pandemic and all of that, which we're all so tired of hearing about. They are giving away free books. You can actually listen to any book you want that is on Audible. Okay, so you could listen to all of Roald Dahl's stories, which I think would be amazing. All right, so we are going to do a warm-up today. Okay, and this is because of Granny's. So this warm-up is from Roald Dahl's George's incredible medicine, marvelous medicine, not incredible. And this is called squigglers in your belly. Okay, so we're going to think of what Grandma looks like on stage. If we're making a play out of this story, we don't have any costumes or special effects, so we need to use our bodies. Okay, we can use this bit of the story as a warm-up. Okay, so all actors have to warm their bodies up to go on stage, so it makes sense, so that they have enough energy for the play they're about to do. Okay, so we're going to imagine that you are Grandma and you've just swallowed all that medicine. I'm imagining that my water is the medicine. Thank goodness it's not the medicine. It's going to give you all those squigglers in your belly. But it starts off slow and it gets worse and worse and worse. Okay, I'm going to count from 1 to 10. And I want you to imagine that with each number, the effect of the medicine gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And I'm going to take Hercules out the door because he's driving me cray-cray. Hercules? There he is. Herc, do you want to go out? All right, off you go. Go, 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 go. Thank you. And watch. Now they will come scratching in again as soon as I let them out. All right. So, are you ready to do your warm-up? Okay. All right. So, you are going to stand up in your space that you are going to do drama in, and you feel a slight tingle somewhere. Maybe on your toe, or your finger, or your nose. It starts to twitch. It's very small. Perhaps you give it a little rub or a shake. Okay, the tingle is working its way onto your hands and onto your feet. And you start to shake them a little bit to get the tingle away. Okay, the tingle's spreading now. Oh, it's up your arms, it's down your legs. It's like an itch that you have to scratch hard. Don't scratch, just pretend, okay? The tingles make you feel cold now. Oh, and you're starting to chatter with your teeth. The tingles make you hot now. Oh, so you're sweating and panting. The heat. Oh, there's a fire in the basement. Man, the hoses get water on me. I'm boiling. The tingle is everywhere now. It's on your head. It's on your bottom. The tingle is making you feel dizzy now. You're wiggling and you're almost jiggling up and down. And there's definitely squiggles in your tummy. Oh, the tingle's making you shake all over. Shake, everybody. Shake, jump, jump, jump. Shake. The tingle is making all over. And bangers in your bottom. The tingle is so tingly that the tingling overpowers you. And you fall down to the ground. Well done. Did you feel those tingles up the body and feel it all warm and give it a shake? Okay, and stand up and stretch out. And I want you to take a deep breath in and out. Deep breath in and out. Well done, grade 3s. Excellent. I love that warm-up. It's such a cool warm-up for George's Marvelous Medicine. Okay. So, I'm hoping that your bodies are pretty warm by now. What about our voices? So, actors often have to play different roles or characters in plays, as you know. And a good way to make that different from one another is to change their voice. Like if Grandma is very horrible, mean old lady, she might have a high, nasal, squeaky voice. That's called changing the pitch of your voice. And you can also change the pitch of your voice by making it low and deep, like this, if Grandma's like this. You could also change how sustained your voice is. Do you know what sustained is? When it's keeping it the same by holding a note like this. Hello. See, I kept it in the beginning and then it changed, okay? Or make it sharp and short and sharp like this. Hello. All right, we're going to make something called a sound wall. Now, usually we would do this in a class with a lot of children. So we are going to pretend that we have a whole lot of people around us. Okay, so you would all stand in a line, but obviously we're going to do this. I'm only here by myself. So, you are going to touch the sound wall. So anywhere on your body, let's do, this will be high and then maybe your knees and your toes and all of that are low. Okay, so if I did this and I touched here, maybe it would be high and maybe low. If I tickle, it might go okay, and if I punch it, it might go ooh, ee, oh, oh, oh. So let's see what noises you can make. But usually we do this together. You might have pretend someone is pointing high or low to you, okay? All right, so if you went there, you would, hi, my name is Vicky. Hello, my name is Vicky. Okay, so you're dropping your voice. All right, I'm going to read through this extract from the book, and you are going to, this is your homework for the week, grade 3s. You are going to act it out for me. Now remember, what you can do is if you borrowed a phone from your mum or dad and you are videoing it with another phone or an iPad or another device, then you can play my voice doing it and you can act it out, or you don't even have to use the words and you can be Granny and George. All right, so you decide, or you can just be Granny going, George, I want my medicine. Okay, all right. I just love Roald Dahl's characters. I think they are so funny. Okay, so you can play any of the characters and remember to change the character for each one. So you can definitely use props and costumes, okay? I didn't have a grey wig, so otherwise I would have actually worn a grey wig. So you're going to have to look at my pink wig for Grandma and for George, but I'm not going to change my characters. I'm just going to change my voice. All right. All right, Gran. Chapter 1 of George's Marvellous Medicine by Roald Dahl. Okay. I'm going shopping in the village, George's mother said to George on Saturday morning, so be a good boy and don't get up to mischief. This was a silly thing to say to a small boy at any time. It immediately made him wonder what sort of mischief he might get up to. And don't forget to give Grandma her medicine at 11 o'clock, the mother said. Then out she went, closing the back door behind her. Grandma was dozing in the chair by the window, opened one wicked little eye and said, Now you heard what your mother said, George. Don't forget my medicine. No, Grandma, George said. And just try to behave yourself for once while she's away. Yes, Grandma. George was bored to tears. He didn't have a brother or sister. His father was a farmer and the family they lived on was miles away from anywhere. So there were never any children to play with. Poor George. He was tired of staring at pigs and hens and cows and sheep. He was especially tired of having to live in the same house as a grisly old grunion of a grandma. Looking after her all by himself was hardly the most exciting way to spend a Saturday morning. You can make me a nice cup of tea for a start, Grandma said to George. That'll keep you out of mischief for a few minutes. Yes, Grandma, George said. George couldn't help disliking Grandma. She was a selfish, grumpy old woman. She had pale brown teeth and a small puckered up mouth like a dog's bottom, like this. How much sugar in your tea today, Grandma? George asked. 1 spoon and no milk. Most grandmas are lovely, kind, helpful old ladies, but not this one. She spent all day and every day sitting in her chair by the window, and she was always complaining, grousing, grouching, grumbling, griping, all about something or other. Never once, ever on her best days had she smiled at George and said, Well, how are you this morning, George? Or why don't we have a game of snakes and ladders? Or how was school today? She didn't seem to care about other people, only about herself. She was a miserable old grouch. George went into the kitchen and made Grandma a cup of tea with a tea bag. He put 1 spoon of sugar in and no milk. He stirred the sugar well and carried the cup into the living room. Grandma sipped the tea. "It's not sweet enough," she said. "Put more sugar in." George took the cup back to the kitchen and added another spoonful of sugar. He stirred it again and carried it carefully into Grandma. "Where's the saucer?" she said. "I don't want a cup without a saucer." George fetched her a saucer. "And what about a teaspoon, if you please?" "I've stirred it for you, Grandma. I stirred it well." "I'll stir my own tea, thank you very much. Fetch me a teaspoon," she said. George fetched her a teaspoon. When George's mother or father were home, Grandma never ordered George about like this. It was only when she had him on her own that she began treating him badly. "You know what's the matter with you," the old woman said, staring at George over the rim of her teacup with those bright, wicked little eyes. "You are growing too fast. Boys who grow too fast become stupid and lazy." "But I can't help it if I'm growing fast, Grandma," George said. "Of course you can," she snapped. "Growing's a nasty, childish habit." "But we have to grow, Grandma. If we don't grow, we'll never be grown-ups." "Rubbish, boy, rubbish. Look at me. Am I growing? Certainly not." "But you did once, Grandma." "Only very little," the old woman answered. "I gave up growing when I was extremely small, along with all the other nasty childish habits, like laziness and disobedience and greed and sloppiness and untidiness and stupidity. If you haven't given up any of those things, have you?" "I'm still only a little boy, Grandma." "You're 8 years old. That's old enough to know better. If you don't stop growing soon, it'll be too late." "Too late for what, Grandma?" "It's ridiculous," she went on. "You're nearly as tall as me already." George took a good look at Grandma. She certainly was a very tiny person. Her legs were short. She had to have a footstool to put her feet on, and her head only came halfway up the back of the armchair. "Daddy says it's fine for a man to be tall," George said. "Don't listen to your daddy," Grandma said. "Listen to me." "But how do I stop myself growing?" George said. "Eat less chocolate," Grandma said. "Does chocolate make me grow?" "It makes you grow the wrong way. Up instead of down." Grandma sipped some tea, but never took her eyes off the little boy who stood before her. "Never grow up," she said. "Always down." "Yes, Grandma." "Stop eating chocolate. Eat cabbage instead." "Oh, cabbage? Oh, no. I don't like cabbage," George said. "It's not what you like or what you don't like," Grandma snapped. "It's what's good for you that counts. From now on, you must eat cabbage 3 times a day. Mountains of cabbage. And if it's got caterpillars in it, so much better." George said. "Caterpillars give you brains," the old woman said. "Mummy washes them down the sink," George said. "Mummy's as stupid as you are," Grandma said. "Cabbage doesn't taste of anything with a few boiled caterpillars in it. Slugs, too." "Not slugs," George cried out. "I couldn't eat slugs." "Whenever I see a live slug on a piece of lettuce," Grandma said, "I gobble it up quickly before it crawls away." Delicious. She squeezed her lips together so tight that her mouth became a tiny wrinkly hole. "Delicious," she said again. "Worms and slugs and beetle bugs. don't know what's good for you." "You're joking, Grandma." "I never joke," she said. "Beetles are perhaps the best of all. They go crunch." "Grandma, that's beastly." The old hag grinned, showing her pale brown teeth. "Sometimes, if you are lucky," she said, "you get a beetle inside the stem of a stick of celery. That's what I like." "Grandma, how could you?" "You'll find all sorts of nice things in a stick of raw celery," the old woman went on. "Sometimes it's earwigs." "Oh, I don't want to hear about it," George cried. "Big fat earwig is so very tasty," Grandma said, licking her lips. "But you've got to be very quick, my dear. When you put on one of those into your mouth, it is a pair of sharp nippers on its back end, and it grabs your tongue with those. It never lets go. So you've got to bite the earwig first, before it bites you." George started edging towards the door. He wanted to get as far away as possible from this filthy old woman. "You're trying to get away from me, aren't you?" she said, pointing a finger straight at George's face. "You're trying to get away from Grandma." Little George stood by the door, staring at the old hag in the chair. She stared back at him. Could it be, George wondered, that she was a witch? He'd always thought that witches were only in fairy tales, but now he was not sure. "Come closer to me, little boy," she said, beckoning him with her gross little finger. "Come closer to me and I will tell you secrets." George didn't move. Grandma didn't move either. "I know a great many secrets," she said, and suddenly smiled. It was a thin, icy smile, the kind a snake might make just before it bites you. "Come over here to Grandma, and I'll whisper secrets to you." George took a step backwards, edging even closer to the door. "You mustn't be frightened of your old Grandma," she said, smiling that icy smile. George took another step backwards. "Some of us," she said, and all at once leaning forward in her chair and whispering in a throaty sort of voice George had never heard her use before. "Some of us," she said, "have magic powers that twist the creatures of this earth into wondrous shape." A tingle of electricity flashed down the length of George's spine. He began to feel frightened. "Some of us," the old woman went on, "have fire on our tongues and sparks in our bellies and wizardry in the tips of our fingers. Some of us know secrets that would make your hair stand straight up on end and your eyes pop out of their sockets." George wanted to run away, but his feet seemed to be stuck to the floor. "We know how to make your nails drip off and your teeth grow out of your fingers instead." George began to tremble. It was her face that frightened him the most of all, that frosty smile, the brilliant, unblinking eyes. "Oh, we know how to have you wake up in the morning with a long tail coming out from behind you." "Grandma," he cried out, "stop!" We know secrets, my dear, about dark places where dark things live and squirm and slither all over the place. George made a dive for the door. It doesn't matter how far you run, he heard her saying. You won't ever get away. George ran into the kitchen, slammed the door behind him. And that is the beginning of George, his marvellous medicine. Don't you think it's fantastic? Aren't you dying to know what happened? So if you want to know what happened in the rest of the story, go onto Audible, download the book, and you can listen to the whole book. You can read it if you've got the story at home, and if you don't, you can listen to Audible. And if you've got the book at home and you want to read and listen, you can. Excellent. So remember, you are going to send me a play of Grandma or George or both. You don't have to use my words. You can use your own. Okay. All right. I hope that you enjoyed this class, and let me know what your favorite part of the class was. Okay. Till next time, grade 3s. See you later, alligator. See you later, alligator. In a while, crocodile. In a while, crocodile. Gotta go, buffalo. Gotta go, buffalo. Peace. See you soon, raccoon. See you soon, raccoon. Be sweet, parakeet. Be sweet, parakeet. Take care, polar bear. Take care, polar bear. In a shake, gator snake. In a shake, gator snake. Hit the road, happy toad. Hit the road, happy toad. Can't stay, blue jay. Can't stay, blue jay. Bye-bye, butterfly. Bye-bye, butterfly. Give me a hug, ladybug. Give me a hug, ladybug. Toodaloo, kangaroo. Toodaloo, kangaroo. Where was I? Time to scoot, little newt. Time to scoot, little newt. Till then, penguin. Till then, penguin. Adios, hippos. Adios, hippos. Hasta mañana, iguana. Hasta mañana, iguana. Give me a kiss, goldfish. Give me a kiss, goldfish. Get in line, porcupine. Get in line, porcupine. Out the door, dinosaur. Out the door, dinosaur. On the bus, octopus. On the bus, octopus. And where was I? To your house. Quiet, mouse. Excellent. Well done, grade 3s. Stay safe, stay well. I can't wait to see your George's marvelous medicine play. Till next time. Bye-bye. Don't forget to like the video on your YouTube, and if you want, you can subscribe, and then you can see grade 1's classes, grade 2 classes, and grade 3's classes. Cheerio, everybody. Bye.